Phil, a very good evening to you.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, and you? Getting ready for us?
Yes, I am indeed. We're looking very much forward to coming to Cyprus as it's our first time in your country. And I have to say it's very exciting for us because, well, we have some new fans to meet.
Of course. And a lot of people are waiting for you guys to get here. Since you joined up with URIAH HEEP quite a few years ago, there seems to be a newfound stability now with the band.
Yeah, I think what it is as time went by through the late 80s and 90s, we formed a good union between the members of the band, and in fact, I think we were for 25 years running the same lineup, which is quite unusual, but for many bands. But we did form a good relationship, songwriting-wise and performance-wise. And as we were taking our music around the world, it was exciting for us to remain in this stable condition, and that's how we more or less are today. And of course, with the addition of Russell Gilbrook on drums, has given us a new extra kick up the bum, if you like, and the story continues.
Yeah, I think it is very important for URIAH HEEP to have people like yourself, because their music is pretty much influenced by the keyboards and the Hammond and stuff. Yeah. And you know, looking back at the early '70s when you had the Box Byron Hensley collaboration, it seems after a long time, the last few years you've been with the band, you're creating that sort of chemistry again.
I think what we've done is each time we sit down to write new songs, we like to look at what's gone before, because it's very important to remember, let's say, the roots of URIAH HEEP, and indeed any band that has been around for as long as we have. You need to retain something of the blueprint of what URIAH HEEP was all about. And I think that's important for the fans, it's important for everybody and our style of music. Because if you think about it, if we were to say, okay, let's completely forget about the past and find a new track, it would alienate everybody. People will become alienated because it's unfamiliar. So what we've done is we've kept, like I said, the blueprint of what URIAH HEEP was about: the Hammond organ, the guitars, the solos, and the harmonies, strong melodies, and we've used that as our benchmark for writing new material. So our headspace is in 2012, obviously. So we have influences from everywhere, all music from all angles. Especially me, who I do have influence from all types and genres of music. So therefore, that comes out in my playing and writing style. So that's what brings us to today, really.
Yeah. It strikes me a bit strange that you would sit down and talk about these things, because to us, who are fans of URIAH HEEP, we knew from the hard rock era, the big four. It was Zeppelin, it was Purple, it was Sabbath, and it was URIAH HEEP, of course. So it strikes me a bit strange that you would talk about these things when preparing to go into a new project. But I do believe that you joined URIAH HEEP before those huge Russian concerts, back when it was the Soviet Union. Is that correct?
Oh no, I joined before that.
Yeah, before that. Yeah,
that's right. I was thrown in at the deep end, if you like. So you could say the very first entry into Russia in 1987 was, I suppose the best way to describe it was like landing on the moon.
How was it back then? Because you were the very first band to play in the then Soviet Union, and it was a huge concert. I mean, close to 200,000 people watched this concert.
It was the Olympic Stadium. We did 10 nights back to back, sold out, and of course there was still thousands of people outside who couldn't get in. You have to remember that it was the beginning of the Gorbachev-Reagan regime, and Glasnost had just began, so it was fresh, and it was like the doors were opening slowly to the west, and in walked URIAH HEEP, and it was just an incredible experience. It will never be easy to put into words, I have to say, but we did enjoy it so much to be able to actually see the people for the first time and communicate with them, even though we were 30 meters away from the first pair of eyes.
But still, I mean.
But we did cause some trouble because we had to try and get the people to come to the stage, but the security wouldn't allow it. So we had big conferences with the state and the Moscow radio and TV, saying that we need the people to come to the stage because that's how we communicate with people all around the world. Why should Moscow be different? And so in the end, they agreed to allow us to have a matinee show one afternoon, and they brought in the kids from the street, and they were allowed to come right up to the stage. And of course, they went crazy and had enjoyed themselves so much. It was just fantastic.
That's amazing times. But how did it happen? And it was URIAH HEEP and not another band. Do you have any recollection of that?
Yes, it was the promoter at the time, a Hungarian man called Laszlo Hegedus. He tried for many years before the regime in Moscow came to fruition. He tried for many years before that, even before I joined the band, to get URIAH HEEP over to Moscow, and every time he tried it was no, niet, every time. And so each year he would try again, and each year he would try again, and then he saw his opportunity on this occasion when Glasnost was happening, and so he approached the authorities, and they said yes. So that's how it worked.
Yeah. So how does a band right now of your stature, one of the classic bands of hard rock, you're playing now, you're still going on, and you're actually playing also to a new generation, generations of fans.
Absolutely, yes.
How does that work with the new ones? Because I'm pretty sure when you play around the world, you see a lot of old faces, the old fans and stuff like that. But you are definitely getting a new generation of fans. How do you approach that?
You see, that's very easy to explain. We have 40 years of history, 42 years of history, and that's plenty of time to have children. Well, you see, that's it in a nutshell. We have the old fans, of course, who follow us around, and we see every time we go to different countries, we see a lot of familiar faces from the older generation. But of course, they play our music, our music. They play URIAH HEEP music when their children are growing up, and a lot of times the children will accompany their parents to the shows, especially to festivals around Europe and most of the world. And so you're having two generations of fans, and I have to say, there are times when there actually are three generations of fans.
Oh, wow.
So you have the old fellas, their children, and their children's children, teenagers, you know?
Does that mean you're a family band?
No, well, I mean, really, it's fantastic because now a lot of countries, South American places like that, the crowd are getting so much younger, it's like we're a teen band.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but they are they're a lot younger, and it's good because it's spreading the word.
I'm wondering now that you're into you're with a member of URIAH HEEP, and whether do you know if there's anything left in the vaults from the early era?
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of the question. Do I recognize what?
Whether you know if there's anything left in the vaults from the early era of URIAH HEEP that needs to be released.
To be released. Yes. No, there was excuse me. There was a release some years ago.
It was the live album that came out recently. A double live album from '72, I believe.
Oh yes, that could be the one. I'm not sure what the title is, but there's a lot of old outtakes from the studio, from Lanzon Studios, and bit fragments of songs that came out. But that was quite a few years ago, and since then there's been nothing else, nothing from the vaults that I know about. I think everything has been used. I mean, there may be something hanging about, as you can imagine. There's always somebody who comes up one day and says, "Oh, I found this multi-track." You never know. The ghosts might come out to haunt us.
Yeah, maybe he's going to sell it on eBay too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I was wondering, excuse me, a member of URIAH HEEP, what does he listen to today, music-wise?
That's an interesting question, because we get asked this question a lot, and I have to be honest, there's not an awful lot of music around at the moment that excites me very much. You still have some very good young bands around, but the style is not something that I really favour very much. You know, System of a Down and bands like that who are good, but I don't listen to them much. Personally, I channel all my energies into listening to some classical music, not a lot, but some classical music. A little bit of there's some very good female songwriters around at the moment. They're writing very interesting lyrics.
Yeah, Josephine Oniyama.
Hmm?
Josephine Oniyama, one of them. She's a Manchester girl. Okay.
All right. Yeah. There's an awful lot of good female talent out there that doesn't get much of a look in. But you see, my interest is in a lot in lyrics and observation of people's lives. That's how I build my ideas for songs and lyrics, by observation, and I don't really get stuck into one genre of music. My eyes are open to everything. My ears are open to everything.
I guess that's the right way to write music.
Yeah, you can't.
It's more real.
You can't always focus on one thing, because then you become too blinkered and one-sided. You know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, what is it? 23 studio albums in, so many live albums, so many compilation albums. How much more is there left in the tank of URIAH HEEP?
Well, there's always something, because I mean, at the moment, as we speak, I have at least 8 or 9 songs written. Most of them are complete, but not all. I mean, they're just waiting to be routine by the band. And when me and Nick get together, we sit down and we do our stuff. So we'll always have stuff. We always have ideas. It's just always there. I can't explain it any other way. I think if we had run out of ideas, then we wouldn't be continuing to make new products. True. You know, it's always there. When someone says, "Well, let's make another album," okay, let's talk about it. Sit down and come up with the ideas.
It has to feel right when you want to make an album, doesn't it?
Of course. I mean, when we write our songs, when I write mine at home, when I write with Mick, when Trevor writes, we bring in the ideas into the rehearsal studio and we play them all and say, "Okay, guys, what do you think? Can we work on this one? Can we work on that one? What do you think about this?" And it's open to all to make comments. And from those comments, we decide which songs we're going to work on, and whatever we work on always works out because we get the feeling for it.
So finally, Phil, URIAH HEEP visiting Cyprus for the first time, headlining the Rock Out Festival. A lot of fans are listening to this show right now. What's your message and your promise to them come next Tuesday night? Well, hey, next Tuesday night, we, as URIAH HEEP, is really looking forward to seeing all our fans, to playing to all our fans and rocking out together, and really we're going to enjoy it very much, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy it too. So we look forward to seeing you there.